Welcome to Proof Points, a podcast by Latham TechSeeds. Family owned and farm proven for more than 75 years, Latham Seeds is growing strong. Now, here's product manager and host of Proof Points, Steve Sick.
We're here with Ken Hines, Northern DSM, RSM for Latham TechSeeds. How are you today, Ken?
I'm great, Steve. Thanks.
Good. It's been a while since we last spoke. What's been new since we last talked?
Well, there is all kinds of stuff that is new in the agricultural industry up here. Everything's growing fine. We're seeing a lot of the corn in that V8, V9 stages. It has some in the V4, V5 stages. A lot of unevenness fields up here on the corn. That's why I mentioned the V5 to V9 stage in a lot of the fields. A lot of yellow soybeans up here. I've been getting a lot of calls to come out and take a look at things and give perspective on what my thoughts were and what it's going to look like, a couple weeks down the road. We've had some storms walk through here, just south of Fargo Moorhead area, down in that Sabin Barnesville area that had hail and strong winds. And I haven't had a chance yet to get down there, take a look at some of our fields that are down there, but I know they've been hit with hail. Corn is what I understand from quite a few guys that had called me is that it damaged the corn quite well. A lot of shredded leaves, and of course the beans took a pounding also.
Right. Yeah, this late in the game, unfortunately, it's too late to replant. So, is it going to be shredded bad enough to where probably going to be yield loss, or is there enough canopy lost?
Yeah, I haven't looked at many of the fields. I just looked at some of the pictures that have been sending in to me, and I think we'll be fine. There might be some yield loss, but the photosynthesis, the leaves are there. We still got a lot of growth, especially when the V7, V8 stage. So I think we should be fine as long as the storms stay away.
Right. Yeah, it's always good to have the rain, but storms are never good. You mentioned that the corn's at V5, V8 range. You've had some hail damage. What are you recommending as far as a fungicide or any insecticides this year?
Here we are. We're in the fungicide stage now to be putting fungicide on the corn. So the recommendations are there, and the growers know it. Just a matter of time to put it on and schedule the time to be put on. So
right.
And weather's got to cooperate. So.
Yeah, that's true. Weather is always the deciding factor. Is there a lot of fungicide and insecticide application done in your area?
I've been recommending this for 10 years in this area, and 10 years ago there was very little put on, and it's getting to be a point that a lot of the growers up here are looking and have done it and are proceeding to move forward with the fungicide program. It's just something that it just wasn't thought of, and just hasn't been thought to the producer that it was going to benefit them until we start showing them proof that it does make a big difference, especially when it comes to yield in the fall. So
right. Even though you really can't see it up front, but there's usually a hidden benefit behind the scenes. Absolutely no doubt about it. Another thing you mentioned, Ken, was the yellowing of the soybeans. Is there anything that can be done right now with the yellowing of the soybeans? I'm assuming it's all chlorosis.
No, it's a kind of a bundle effect up here is what I've been finding. All last week I spent a lot of time in the fields, and potassium intake is probably the biggest factor of yellowing soybeans. That's what everybody thinks. When you start digging the plants up and start looking at the plant roots, I've been seeing a combination of cysts big time. We're seeing masses of cysts up here along with fusarium. We've been preaching, or I have been lecturing for quite a few years up here, is that fusarium is probably one of our biggest culprits that there is, and there just isn't enough education on the fusarium side on the soybean diseases. But I'm seeing more of a basket effect, as you might call that, of different things that are happening underground. And system fusarium is right alongside the potassium uptake. And
right.
Of course, we have the seed treatments that would handle a lot of this, And if it isn't the seed treatment, at least we need to take a look. The grower needs to take a look at a soybean that has cyst nematode resistance to it, and
Hmm.
that would considerably help. And keep in rotation in the picture. That'll help
Right.
big time.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that we're looking for at Latham is a lot of Peking sore cyst resistance. And I know we're working on that in the group zeros as well. So that definitely should help. But if you're able to see the egg masses with the naked eye, that's pretty severe cyst damage.
Yeah, I carry a couple gallon jugs of water in a pail, and we
Mhm.
wash the soils off, and we can see the little salt particles, as I call them, because it's exactly what it looks like. It looks like salt. And
Wow.
if we're seeing it this early in the stage, we know that the masses are going to be quite large when we start testing the fields or sampling the fields in the fall come harvest, which is the
Hmm.
best time to take a test assist and see what your count is in that field.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Hopefully, it can be kept under control between rotation and hopefully maybe some seed treatment. One other thing that's new up in your area, Ken, is the Premium Agronomy Center at Glendon. And how's that looking? And what are your plans for the Premier Agronomy Center this year?
I'm really excited about that. This is something I've been asking for quite a few years, and now we have it. This is the infant stages. This is our baby stage. This is the first year that we started this program with the agronomy plot. And what we're seeing right now is that we have the corn and soybean final we currently have in the lineup, and
Hmm.
we got a soybean trial in the back of that we call the hill trials. They're back there, and then finally we have planted the alfalfa in the field, so we have our pathways with alfalfa and grasses to get in and out and be able to show the customers, the growers, what we're going to have passed down from our R&D or research and development into the future and what they can see down here um, for the agronomy side, especially on the corn and bean side of things that it's growing here, is tested here. We're basically, it's going to be stability for you as a grower that you're seeing in your own backyard and you can see it in our agronomy plot.
Hmm.
Tours have started already. I've taken a few of the growers out there right now within the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks now, and just showing them and showing our plans and showing off what we currently have out there in that 14-acre plot. It's going to be substantial for Latham. It's going to be very beneficial on ROI to the grower,
Hmm.
especially when they get to see the products that they can there in the plot and be able to put it in their fields and know that it's going to work for them in that field.
Right. So, really, what you're saying is you're kind of dispelling the myth that once you plant it, there's nothing to see until harvest. So, you're telling us there's something to see right now.
Yes, there is.
Good.
It's really great to be able to take somebody through there at the stages of growth and the 6 people we had through here in the last just before the 4th of July just said, hey, just give us a call and see if we can't get out here. We'd like to see the different stages through the growth of the soybean and corns and hear exactly the benefits that this is going to give to them in the future as a grower in the valley here, up and down the valley, to the Red River Valley.
Right. One thing too, as we talked about the weather here just a little bit ago, and we're kind of seeing, you know, different weather patterns set up. Are you seeing any changes in people's maturity? Or are you seeing any changes in people's cultural habits just due to the changing weather and pattern?
Yeah, funny that you mentioned that because we're starting to see a lot of the corn maturities move north. Um, it's it was 15, 18 years ago. It was very seldom that you would see a cornfield up in this area, and now we're moving. Now we're moving. The 98 day, 95 day. We plant a lot of 95 day right up and down this valley from Fargo Moorhead south, and we're pushing 86 day north into the Grand Forks corridor south of Highway 2. So the genetics have come a long ways, and so has the farming practices. And yeah, this changed quite a bit when Mother Nature has given us GPUs up here. that we haven't seen forever. So it really helps. We take a look at this year that we're 650 GTUs heavier, more so than we were last year.
Wow.
And last year was also a really good year for GTU, and we had really a good crop of corn. I got a picture from Crookston, Minnesota, that are 2977 already tasseled. It was planted May 16th, I think he said, and
Wow.
just about the whole damn field is tasseled right now. So that's quite amazing to see that 79-day tassel early, and it's a great corn for us, especially in the north. It just does very well on variable soils, and it has a nice test weight to it in the fall. It's just really nice to harvest. So a lot of growers go after that 2977 when they push north.
Right.
So,
does the same pattern hold true going out west of your territory? I mean, you've got a very large territory and you go all the way out, Minot and out there by the river. Same hold true out there?
yeah, basically, if you take everything that we do here in Fargo Moorhead, we can move it west pretty easily. We get a little bit into West River. They'll plant, they'll plant those 97, 98 days on down to that 80, 83 day, 84 day corn. North, it's pretty much early, everywhere from that 79 day to 83 day, up in that Deering Minot area.
Right.
But the West River, North Dakota in general, has been pretty droughty the last 5-6 years, and right now it's moving towards that again this year. The beans out in that area look pretty sad. The corn is in that V5, V6 stage. We need moisture out there really bad. It won't be long before the corn's holding its own right now in western North Dakota, but it won't be long if they don't get a rain and start curling on us. And the beans need a severe drink right now.
Right.
And I'm hoping that we're going to within the next 10 days to get a rain, and it'll probably pull through. So
I know you've got a lot of experience in the ag industry and a lot of experience in the seed industry. Have you really noticed a change and a difference in, the way hybrids tolerate heat and drought compared to what they did, a long time ago?
well, of course, we got drought guard.
Right.
We genetics has come a long way in the industry, and it gets to a point where a lot of these drought guard, it's not a cure-all fix, but it definitely gives us a window for a rain. And if we get that rain in a decent amount of time within 2-3 weeks of dry, because that drought guard just won't take all the moisture out of the plant. And that little bit of moisture will start that plant from that point forward and still grow and still be very aggressive when it comes to harvest and bushels. But yeah, to answer your question, it's seen a lot of genetics and it's helped immensely, especially in the drier state.
What have you noticed in yields? I mean, soybeans and corn throughout the years. I mean, I know we've had some pretty significant differences, like what you mentioned in corn, and I think we're really seeing the genetic gain come through with today's technology. But are you seeing a pretty significant increase in soybeans as well?
Soybeans, the genetics have come and gone from the conventional to Roundup One. That was a big step in agriculture. And then we get to the R2s, and we were doing quite well on that. And then we move into the list and extend flex lineup. We're seeing that the genetics is there, and we're seeing them excel greatly on lower pH soils and lower salt soils. And the 60-70 bushel of beans up here, if you get into those soils, is very attainable. We get into the hard soils, the compact soils up and down the valley, where we run into what we talked about earlier is the cyst, the fusarium, the yellowing. We've run across a lot of troubles with that. In genetic, and as I take a look into the future, what our research and development is doing is that we're taking a look at that plant, which plant or a genetic would work in some of these soils, and that's exactly what our agronomy premier plot's going to be doing. And Glenn is taking a look at some of that because we have some
Hmm.
land on one end of that we can work with those trials of beans to help reduce and make sure that we have the genetic plant to be able to put in these valleys up here that are struggling.
Hmm. Have you noticed any difference between technologies between E3s and XtendFlex varieties that's either handling the salts or IDC any better?
Yeah, we started noticing it last year immensely, where we started seeing the XtendFlex lineup handling the defensive side very readily better than the E3 side. But as
Mm.
soon as you put the E3 side on the lighter soils, lighter pHs, lighter salts, the E3s stand right next to the XtendFlex. But the XtendFlex got a better defensive trait, very tolerant to a lot of these soils that we have issues with. The emergence has been very good with them. It's the stage when we get to that R1 stage that it sits there for a couple of weeks and turning yellow, and hopefully they'll pop out of it within the next week or two. But yeah, our XtendFlex lineup is superior when it comes to the tougher soil than the E3s.
Yeah, good. I've noticed that same thing as well. That there's definitely some differences between the two technologies. Of course, depending on what your farming practices are, which one's right for you. But at Latham, we really strive to carry the best products and the best defensive characteristics we can.
Yes, we do. I mean, we're a company of options, right? And
Right.
when we take a look,
Good point.
you open up our guidebook, the seed guidebook, then you take a look at all the options that the grower and the RSM and or the dealer can help choose that product for the soils that you have in that ground. It's only going to get better with the agronomy plots that we have, especially the premier plots that we have. And of course, as we take the dealers and customers through these plots, they have a great idea of the products that we will have, the options available to the grower.
Mm.
So,
Oh, good, good. Well, and with that, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Proof Points, and thank you for tuning in, and have a good week.